It's in the topic once again. Country or club, country or money. It's once again on the tables, but this time it's in the women's game. Players like Lauren Bell and Heather Knight have already withdrew from the WPL. The reason being England tour of New Zealand 2 days after the final of WPL. And Shamar Joseph, remember the name. What a bloke, what a player, and what a debutant series he's having in Australia. In one of my previous videos, I have talked largely about the debate in cricket which is going right now. Freelancing cricketers who are rejecting their country's central contract to play in the T20 leagues across the globe. T20 leagues that pay ridiculously high compared to what central contract does, and considering that they are played during a shorter period of time, they pay a lot more money, which brings more financial security for players, especially who are at the end of their careers, like David Warner, Jimmy Neesham, Trent Boult, Jason Roy, David Willey, and so on and so forth. This debate is coming once again back into the game right now, and it's in the media headlines, but this time it's in the women's game. The reason being that England tour of New Zealand is scheduled just 2 days after the WPL final, which has surprisingly broke the news that Lauren Bell and Heather Knight, the skipper of the England national team, have withdrawn from the WPL, citing that they want to be eligible for the selection and want certain preparation ahead of that series. There are still clouds looming around the English contingent in the WPL for players like Danny White, Sophie Eckeston, and the head coach of the UP Warriors, who is also the head coach of national women's team. So let's see what the future lies ahead for these players and the coach, and if their participation is in jeopardy or not. But for now, this debate about country versus club will be even more intensified in the future, especially in the women's game, because that is expanding day by day. I would not be surprised if we in future see women's players also rejecting central contract to play in the T20 leagues across the globe. Once again, the reason is that brings more financial security, especially at the end of your career, or if you are from a country or board that does not pay well. For example, Sri Lanka and Atapattu, or West Indies Cricket Board, who right now doesn't pay well, but I have heard that there are talks of paying equal for men and women for the upcoming future. But let's see where that talks goes and from which year that applies. But for now, I won't be surprised if I see women players rejecting central contracts to play in the leagues across the globe. We have seen it with Dan van Niekerk, Shabnam Ismail, and some other players who are rejecting, or who have taken retirement, rather I say, from the international circuit to play in the leagues across the globe and secure their financial future because they're at the end of their career. And now my next topic. The Gabba has been breached once again. No, this is not India this time, it's West Indies. It's their first win on Australian soil in almost 30 years. And the man behind it, it's Shamar Joseph, who is debuting in this series and has already taken a 5-for in the first test and now a 7-for. Can you imagine what a day he had? He almost took all of the wickets in day 4 and make sure that West Indies win and end on the right side of the game. Yesterday, he was retired out after being hit by Mitch Starc's Yorker on his foot, which made that he couldn't bowl in the last session. But today, he came back, and what a comeback he made. 7-for, which made sure that West Indies win and finish on the right side and drew the series. A huge blow for the Australians, considering that they are competing for the top 2 spots for the WTC final. But right now, the focus should be Shamar Joseph and the West Indies team. The show they have put on and the resilience, the fight they have shown against this mighty Australian side. Remember, they have not won a single test on Australian soil in almost 30 years. And to do that this time, it's huge, it's fantastic, it's fabulous. Hats off to the West Indies and the way they have fought in this series. And remember, in the first test also, they were not far behind. They were still competitive, more competitive than Pakistan was in this series in this summer in Australia. And they had their chances, but there was a lack in skills, which made sure that Australia won the first test quite comfortably. And in the second test, they put on a show with the bat in the first inning and almost had a huge lead in the first inning when they had Australia 24 for 4. But then came Alex Carey, who played a brilliant knock of fearless cricket, which made sure that Australia were 289 for 9 when Pat Cummins declared. And I think that declaration will come back and haunt them, considering that they lost the game by only 8 runs. No one knows what would have happened if Cummins would not have declared the team at that moment. If they have added, let's say, 10 or 15 runs more, they would have won this game. But all the credit to the West Indies and Shamar Joseph, the way he bowled, the courage he showed, and his fighting spirit, coming back from an injury yesterday and just nailing his bowling today. And Shamar Joseph, remember the name. He will be a huge star for West Indies in the coming time. So just remember the name. See you in the next video.